All right, let's talk about giants. We're diving into one of the oldest, most epic legends in human history. But here's the thing. This isn't just a story about really tall people. Nope. This is a story that starts in the heavens, with a rebellion that would literally change the face of the earth forever. So let's get right into it.
So that's the real question, right? You hear these tales of giants in cultures all over the world and you have to wonder, is there a common source? Well, according to some of our most ancient texts, the answer is a huge yes. And it all goes back to a single dramatic story of fallen angels, a forbidden pact, and the monstrous children they created.
So our story kicks off right here, on the peak of Mount Hermon. The main characters in this drama are a group of celestial beings called the Watchers. Now, you find them in texts like the Book of Enoch, an incredible ancient work that didn't make it into most Bibles. Their one job was to watch over humanity. But well, a group of them decided they wanted to do a lot more than just watch.
And we're not talking about just a couple of rogue agents here. This was a significant force. 200 of these Watchers gathered together. Think about that. A unified legion, ready to abandon their sacred posts and make a deal that would, quite literally, earth-shattering consequences.
Their leader, an angel named Samyaza, got them all to swear a binding oath. This was a serious, no-turning-back kind of deal. They swore they would all descend from heaven, go down to earth, and take human women as their wives. They planned to have children with them, and in doing so, they would completely shatter the boundary between the divine and the mortal.
Now, coming to Earth was one thing, but the Watchers didn't exactly show up empty-handed. They brought with them all kinds of forbidding knowledge from the heavens, secrets and skills that humanity was just not ready for. And these gifts were about to hit the accelerator on human civilization in ways that were both brilliant and absolutely terrifying.
Okay, let's break this down because the details are wild. You have Azazel, who taught humanity how to forge swords and armor, but also how to make cosmetics. So in one move, he introduces organized warfare and vanity. You got Kokabeel, who revealed the secrets of astrology. Their leader, Samyaza, taught sorcery and enchantments. And then there's Penemu, who gave us the art of writing. An incredible gift, sure, but one that could preserve lies just as easily as truth.
So you can see, this was like a massive, totally unregulated technology transfer that changed everything. But that was only the first consequence of their pact. The second consequence was far more, biological. What happened with the children that were born from these unions?
Well, these children were known as the Nephilim, or in some places, the Rephaim. And they were not ordinary kids. They were hybrids, part divine, part human, and they grew into beings of immense size and terrifying power. These were the giants of legend, and they formed powerful clans that would come to completely dominate the ancient land of Canaan.
And it wasn't just one big group of giants either. The texts get specific, naming all these different tribes, each with its own territory. You had the Anakim, who struck fear into the hearts of the Israelite spies. You had the Rephaim, the Emim, the Zamzumim, and the powerful Amorites. These guys were a truly formidable presence in the ancient world.
And remember that third name I just mentioned, the Emim? Get this, it's not just some random name. In the original language, it literally translates to terrors. Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know about how people felt about them. They were simply known as the terrors. And if you're trying to picture just how big we're talking, the ancient texts give us this incredibly vivid description of the Amorites. It says they were as tall as cedar trees and strong as oaks. I mean, that's not just tall. That paints a picture of something that's basically a force of nature, something immense and unmovable.
So beyond these entire clans of giants, the stories also zoom right in on specific individuals, these larger-than-life champions and kings whose stats are actually preserved in the texts. These are the guys who became the poster children for the whole phenomenon, true legends in the flesh.
For instance, check out King Og of Bashan. He's described as the last of the Rephaim. Now, the texts don't give us his exact height, but they tell us the size of his iron bed, 13.5 feet long. That's over 4 meters. Just try to imagine the kind of being who would need a custom-made bed that big.
And then, of course, there's the most famous giant of all time, Goliath of Gath, the Philistine champion. His height is recorded as 9 feet 9 inches tall. That's nearly 3 meters. To put that in perspective, that's taller than any officially recorded human being in modern history.
And it wasn't just his height that was terrifying. To really get a sense of his power, consider this. His coat of scale armor alone weighed 125 pounds. That's about 57 kilograms. He was wearing the equivalent of a whole person into battle, like it was just a light jacket.
The strange details don't stop there. Another famous but unnamed giant is described as having this very distinct genetic trait: 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. This condition, polydactyly, is often pointed to as another sign of their strange, otherworldly, hybrid biology.
So when you pull all these different threads together, you start to see a really clear and consistent story. The legend of the giants isn't just some random myth that popped up out of nowhere. It's presented as the direct, long-term consequence of that one world-altering decision made on a mountaintop thousands of years ago.
And this really shows you the domino effect perfectly. It all starts with the pact. The 200 Watchers descend. This leads to the knowledge, the forbidden arts that reshape civilization. At the exact same time, it leads to the offspring, the giant clans who rise to power. And from those clans emerge the legends, the infamous champions like Goliath, whose stories are still told today. You see, it's one clear line.
So, the ultimate question is, what do we do with a story like this? A story that's so detailed and internally consistent, connecting celestial beings to forbidden tech to giant clans in one epic narrative. Is it just a fantastic myth, a way for ancient people to explain the unexplainable? Or could it be the distorted echoes of a forgotten chapter of our own history? A history that is far stranger and far more incredible than we've ever been led to believe. That's something to think about.